What's scaring Jerome Powell? Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of Heise Says. Grab your stein of coffee or your cup of joe, and let's have a look at this article from CNBC discussing here are the things that scare Jerome Powell the most about the economy right now. And when I saw that, I thought this is going to be an interesting one to have a look at. So, the Federal Reserve Chairman, Jerome Powell, said Thursday he worries about women, children, and business owners who face long-term consequences from the coronavirus pandemic. And I'd say more so the coronavirus recession. Now, what this tells me is the middle class. Very similar to here in Australia. The big businesses are doing well. You know, Bunnings, their profits are up. But as I mentioned in a tweet, go to Bunnings next time and ask how many. And Bunnings here in Australia is a big hardware store, also known as Hammer Barn in Lbry. And ask how many of the people working there used to have their own small business. Asked to name his chief concerns as the world tries to recover from the pandemic crisis, Powell said, "It's the risk that there is some long-run damage to the productive capacity of the economy and to people's lives who have been disrupted by the pandemic." Well, I think that's a certainty. I don't even think that's a risk. And I 100% agree with him here. One thing that's dangerous and concerning is the potential for scarring, economic scarring, unemployment scarring. Say, you're at my age, you're heading into 40s, you're getting that little bit older now that if you lose a job, it may be harder to get back into that same position. And here in Australia, we've got the first recession in 28 years. So you've got a whole lot of people that don't have any working memory of what a recession is. I barely remember it. I was a child. That was when we moved from Victoria up to Queensland because the construction industry just tanked. He spoke during a European Central Bank panel discussion with ECB President Christine Lagarde and Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey. It's women who are not by choice out of the labour market, Powell continued. It's kids who are not getting the education they should be getting. It's small businesses with generations of intellectual capital that is being destroyed. And it is. It's the small businesses that are being destroyed. One thing with the women who are out of the labour market, this is what Rachel told me. Well, here when we had the GFC started, a lot of architects lost their jobs. A lot of the girls from our year said, "Oh, well, time to have babies." That was the backup plan. So, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. We need to have more kids. Kids are great when they don't annoy you. And it's just workers who have been out of work for a long period of time, losing their connections to the labour force and losing the life they had. See, I think Jerome is a decent bloke. I think he has good intentions with what he's trying to do. I suspect most of our central bankers have good intentions with what they're trying to do, but there are unintended consequences with their interventions into the market, and that creates bubbles. I'd suggest you have a look at the Austrian business School of Economics business cycle theory. I may do another video on it. Most of the economic data lately has been strongly, particularly regarding employment. Non-farm payrolls growth for October was better than Wall Street expectations, and some 12 million workers have returned to their jobs following 22 million layoffs in March and April. I mean, that's still a huge number. 10 million people still haven't returned to their jobs. That's huge. Weekly jobless claims fell last week to the lowest since March, the Labor Department said Thursday. However, some economists worry that a slowdown could come as the coronavirus cases increase and states implement restrictions on business and personal activities, or if a new president comes in that wants a 3-month lockdown of the entire nation. That'll lead to a depression. It has to. Or so much money printing that, what's the value of the US dollar going to be then? Powell cautioned that displaced workers are going to need extended support as the US economy recovers in ways that will be different from its former self. What really worries me, bigger picture, is that now the shutdown, lockdowns, and approaches to dealing with this global pandemic will become the standard. Even if one could make arguments against the viability of using these methods to contain the spread and the actual benefit of it, it's going to be, the next time something like this happens, there'll be calls for this. And there'll be public support for a lot of people. So, and there were professionals, epidemiologists, medical professionals making legitimate fact-based arguments against strict lockdowns due to the economic consequences, which we're seeing manifest. Didn't matter. So, we're not going back to the same economy, Powell said, and he's right. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that it's going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers. Well, there are going to be businesses that use this as an opportunity to automate, probably because they have to. I mean, we've all heard the stories about people over in the States particularly who got those government payroll loans and their workers don't want to rock up because they're enjoying being on unemployment or getting more on unemployment. That really has to be a punch in the guts for a boss that went and took on that liability. Really has to be. The central bank lender said he was referring specifically to relatively low-paid, public-facing workers who were bearing this brunt, many of whom are women and minorities. More support needed. An increasing trend to automation and work-from-home positions are adding to the challenges, meaning that policymakers will have to be more accommodative, Powell added. He comes as Washington lawmakers have yet to agree on additional fiscal help for the 11 million Americans, many of them pandemic casualties who remain out of work. Powell said he expects that more policy help will be needed from both the Fed and Congress. Those people are going to struggle to get back to work in their old jobs or in many cases new jobs. So I think you'll see more telework. You'll probably see the acceleration of automation. All of that was in the process of happening, but you're going to see much more of it, he said. The main takeaway from me is that even after the unemployment rate goes down and there is a vaccine, there's going to be probably a substantial group of workers who are going to need support as they find their way in their post-pandemic economy, because it's going to be different in some fundamental ways. Pfizer's announcement this week of a successful COVID-19 vaccine is certainly good and welcome news, he said, though it's too soon to assess with confidence the implications of the news for the path of the economy, especially in the near term. Because, this can take years to roll out, everyone. And it's brand new tech, so there's going to be people that are probably a little reserved. You know what? That mortality rate, I'll take my chances with that rather than this vaccine until, give it a couple of years. Let's see how it goes. Because there's historical precedent. When things are rushed, mistakes are made. So, with the virus spreading, the next few months could be challenging, he said. So there we have it, everyone. I think some very legitimate, on-point concerns, similar to other parts of the world. This really does feel like the middle class is copping it much harder than others. I mean, look at some of the bigger businesses, just how their revenue is increasing during this. It's the small mum and dad businesses, the small family businesses that are getting destroyed. There you have it. So let's look at the key points. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell said he worries about the long-term impacts from the coronavirus pandemic. Specifically, he cited women out of work, involuntary, children whose education is suffering, and small business owners who have lost generations of intellectual capital. Speaking at the ECB forum Thursday, he said, "We're not going back to the same economy." What do you all think, everyone? Do you think it is? It's not. I mean, this to me is a clear indication that the fantasy people have had of a V-shaped recovery, just a bounce right back, is impossible. We're not just, this is the States, it's going to be in other countries in the world too. What do you reckon? There are going to be some people that are going to struggle to find work. There are going to be some people that through no fault of their own, they've lost their business and they may never find a job again. As always, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. Support us using any of our referral links from Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Aussie Broadband. You can buy merch from Heise Says or Teesprings, or you can support us using PayPal or Gold Pass from the Perth Mint. Take care, everyone. Have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next episode.